All right, welcome to Bleav in Chargers. Very exciting day. Big thank you to our friends at FanDuel. They're the reason we are here. Going to get you some interesting FanDuel odds coming up a little bit later in the show. But, Lo, very exciting week because we got football. We are recording this on a Wednesday morning. I'm getting set to hop on the charter, head to Houston. Preseason game 1 of 3, one on the road. This one in Houston against the Texans, and then we'll have 2 home games against the 49ers and the Rams. Interesting, as all 3 opponents are 3 teams that we will play in the regular season.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Very excited. Watch this first game tomorrow night. I can't wait. Money. I tell you what, and then, playing these 3 teams that are all playoff teams, you're definitely going to see in the playoffs. They were playoff teams last year. There's Houston. We know they have some bad blood with the Chargers, and the Chargers need to get some redemption. It's only preseason. Forget the preseason money. I want to talk about the plane. I missed those plane rides. The big fella missed the plane ride. The first class, Marty used to let the veterans sit in first class, and it was pretty much all you could eat, the steak, whatever you want on the plane. These charter planes at times can be pretty phenomenal. What say you? Are they still pretty good? Are they still pretty exciting?
I always tread lightly. I don't want to share too much. It's a privilege for me to be on the plane as a member of the staff and not a player. So
Understood.
I will just say that, yes, the players are in the front of the plane. They have the lay flat seats now. It's like 4 sections of first class seats for all of them. And then the coaches, for the most part, get like the I don't know what you would call it, business class, economy plus kind of deal. And then the staff, we're all in the very back, which is fine. I like it back there. I end up rapping with the staff, the flight attendants a lot. I end up making friends with them, and I usually am just kind of cruising in the galley, reading, getting ready for, my partner, DJ, who does the games with me. All he's doing is grinding tape nonstop for all of his draft stuff. Little bit of Scrabble with Shannon Farron, our sideline reporter. She and I will get after it with a little bit of Scrabble. But, the food's fantastic. I am still, even though it looks delicious and smells fantastic, I'm still give me, Uncrustables, Slim Jims, the all-natural, turkey, Slim Jim. Like, I'm just like, just give me the packaged foods on the plane. I don't want anything I don't want to take any risks, Lo. I don't want anything to go wrong when we're in the sky.
Well, brother, I can't believe you're still eating them Slim Jims, because I tell you, when I get them Slim Jims, I'm telling you, money, your boy starts to feel a little bit of something come over me, money.
Oh, yeah.
That's when you talk about them Slim Jims. How was that, money? What do you think?
I like it. Cream rises to the top. Oh, yeah. In my moment of glory, I was living in a nightmare. Jim Tunney, WWF. All right. I love the Macho Man. I don't know if Dan Soder, by the way.
Come out of your neck, money. I was waiting for the veins to come out of your neck. There it is. That's it. That's it. Oh, yeah, brother.
Before we get into any Charger stuff, I do want to bring this up. And I know you won't because you're too humble, Lo, but what a Hall of Fame ceremony. Drew Brees gets inducted. I got this right here, by the way. Look at this, baby.
I can appreciate that.
Look at this right here. Oh, there we go. Put Lo where he belongs, in the freaking Hall of Fame, Canton, Ohio.
Money, that black on white looks good on you, buddy. That black on white looks good on you.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I'll tell you what, though. I was out earlier walking the dog, and I had 2 white couples cross the street when they saw me. They didn't know what to make of my T-shirt. Lo, for people that didn't see it, Drew Brees, beautiful moment, talked about your relationship with him, the confidence you put in him when he was a young player. And, man, it felt good for me just to hear it, knowing the quality individual you are, how humble you are, to be able to get that sort of acknowledgement from a Hall of Fame stage was pretty freaking cool, man.
It really was. Words can't describe, man. Drew's an awesome guy. Hell of a player. We on the first ballot Hall of Fame. But a lot of guys you can't say it for. No, LT, I say it for, but Drew Brees doesn't want another one day. He's a better person than his player. And if you can imagine, he's a hell of a player, great player. But the person, the man that he is and what he stands for, I just love him. He's a brother to me, and he's always has been. And even when he was going through his difficult times, bring Phillip Rivers in to surpass him and to take his seat. And we're playing those games. And I remember playing against Chicago, and that moment where Marty was like, hey, I got the call from AJ, and we got to give you one more series. They want to go with the young fella, seeing that, hey, look, this was that moment. And come on, PB, believe me, let's go. And you just never know at that time. He goes on to write about it in a book. You never know at that time. And that's what I always tell people all the time when I have opportunity to speak to different companies or the kids. I say, the tongue, you can give life or you can give death. And sometimes we choose life, and a lot of times we choose death, or to sabotage, or to say, hey, oh man, you're not good enough. Oh, you just don't. Instead of encouraging. And so I think that's what the world should be about. We're all here to inspire. We're all here to serve, and to be able to serve Drew Brees and him to be able to serve me it was an honor.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And I'll be honest, like I was very excited the moment I heard it. And by the way, we're selling these. So if you want one, and you want to wear it,
$1.99.
you want to wear it around town, there you go. You can get yours at our shop at
Yes.
shop.Bleav.com. For those of you that aren't watching the YouTube right now, that's where they are. And it's got a beautiful picture of Lowe in a polo, because everybody knows that's how you play football, in a polo. And he's got the ball security going, as though he carried the ball instead of just paving the way for people. But like I said, I was excited, and then I'll be honest, I kind of got a little angry. I did. I was like, I'm so tired of this. I'm so tired of Drew Brees getting up there and saying how important Lorenzo Neal was to his path to the Hall of Fame, and LaDainian Tomlinson talking about how important Lo Neal was to his path to the Hall of Fame, and all these Instagram videos that our awesome followers send me in my DMs of your welcome to the NFL moment. And it was when I met Lo in the dark alley and he knocked me clean on my back. It's like, hey man, what's a Hall of Famer? What if there is a welcome to the NFL moment for defenders that played in the era of Lo Neal and had to play against Lo Neal, and they all say the same thing? My welcome to the NFL moment was when I met Lo Neal. That's what. You should be the first bust when you walk into Canton, because you are welcome to the NFL. You want to play in this league, young man? Here I am. This is your comeuppance. This is what you got to deal with, and you better be ready for it, or else you don't belong here. Like, that's a Hall of Famer. And I can only hope with Gatesy and with Drew and with LT now, and the amount of teammates that you have that are in the Hall of Fame, that the freaking Veterans Committee can take care of it, because it's clear the writers are pencil neck weenies like me, and they don't know any better, and they're not going to do it because they don't understand football, and they don't understand sacrifice, and they don't understand teamwork, and they don't understand what goes in to execute and play with 11 pieces moving concurrently in order to produce success, and how important you were to that. And so it was awesome seeing Drew say it, but at the same time, I really just kind of got a kick in my tail, where I was like, we really got to start pushing this thing. Like, we really have to start. And Drew comes to a couple games, if I see him on the field, I'm going to grab him. I'm going to be like, hey, dude, you're in that room now. I've said it to LT. I'm going to say it to you. We need you. We need you to start freaking making this thing happen so he can get up there and give that speech. That's it. I'm off my soapbox.
Hey, thank you, Money. And I'm grateful. Honored to Drew Brees, going to the Hall of Famer. He had a Hall of Fame career. Awesome guy. And I'm grateful that these guys are just talking about it. Money, you know what? Let's turn the page, man.
Yeah.
Let's talk about these Chargers. I'm starting to get hot, getting a little uncomfortable. You're making me feel too good. So
I know.
I'm humbled, Money. Thank you. I love you, brother, for standing by me. I really do appreciate it.
Listen, I clearly, I'm no Oprah. I was trying to get you to cry, and it didn't work. Son of a bitch. Here we go. So I've got not one, but two notebooks of stuff that has happened the last week. I think I'll probably work backwards. Just some sort of notes here. Start with Rashan Slater. He was at the podium yesterday. Has been out of practice since he left the field in San Diego. He came back, wanted to get back into the game, or into practice in San Diego, but the team wouldn't let him. He then came back the next day, which was just a walkthrough for the most part, very light work. And then he came back the next day and did about 4 to 6 plays of individual, and then that's the last time we saw him. And so clearly, coming off the patellar, everybody was a little nervous, understandably, missed all of last season. But it was cool that he took to the lectern and shared with us, it's all – he's like, I feel great. He goes, to believe it or not, I feel better than I did when I played 2 seasons ago, the entire season, because I was so dinged up. He's like, it's all getting me ready for week 1. He's like, that's all we're talking about. There's a little bit of a, he didn't give us the exact sort of what the deal was, but he said it's not not the patellar. He goes, it's a little bit more of a muscle thing that just felt kind of weird. And when I brought it up, everyone's like, shut it down. It's just, you're good, man. We're working toward week 1 against Arizona. Don't need to work on anything now. So that was sort of the biggest news from yesterday at the lectern, just kind of getting the update from Slater, because you know how important he's going to be with Joe Alt to how this thing's going to go.
Yeah, well, it's great to hear that, and I know what that's like, money, when you have an injury, maybe patella or something else is injury. Now it's like you have other body parts that are trying to overcompensate to say, we got to protect this part. And so you're maybe putting more pressure on a place that you don't believe that you are. Maybe you're stressing another part. Your body's overcompensating. And those are just things that he's got to continue to run, continue to get the feel for. And it's like, look, don't do it at practice. Don't have this guy doing, let's just make sure he's running. Let's make sure he's moving. Let's make sure he's in the treatment, getting the treatment done, getting the thing done to make sure he's ready for Arizona. I think this is a great move. You'll see him go out there still. He probably gets a couple more practices in, but you don't want to waste that practice. You hate when you see a guy injured, especially when it's at practice. So this is great precaution just to make sure you have Slater ready, because you're going to need him and Big Joe out.
Yeah, I think if there's, if you want to play it down the middle and say, do you have any concerns? Yeah, I think the one concern is you've got, 0 starters that started in that playoff game. Now, that's probably a good thing based on how that playoff thing looked, but you've got a new center, a new left guard, a new right guard, and then basically the only guys that have been there before, Rashan and Joe Alt, and, they played a season together, and that's it. And that was 2 years ago. So it's like, yeah, 5 fingers on a glove. You'd like to get that thing working. They still haven't settled on a left guard. I'll just attack that right now. I don't know what to make a left guard. I don't. I'll be honest. Like you had Pip there. Now look, Pip is playing left tackle in place of Slater, so that's why it's kind of off of its rotation maybe a little bit. He was getting first team reps at left guard, and then Coyote Ashika was getting reps first team left guard. Now we've got Jake Slaughter, their second round pick, starting to get more and more reps at left guard. Harbaugh was at the lectern, and he talked about the big jump that he feels like Jake took in the last 5 days. So that's a good sign. I think that's ultimately what they want, right? They want their second round pick that they thought could convert from center to guard to be their starting left guard. And then Trevor Penning, I feel like, is sort of out of the mix a little bit. I feel like it's now, and Branson Taylor is the other one where he got starting reps with the first team.
Does the second rounder seem as if, money, for what you've seen, of course you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to go full, but you want to go full tilt. You want to make sure, if you want to see him just see glass, hit glass. I mean, till you hear glass. You hopefully he's playing in that regard, but is he physical enough? Does he have enough weight in his bottom half of the ass? What do you see physically that says, hey, this guy can do it, or you don't see that as of yet?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Look, every single one of the guys they have in there, it's 50-50. They win some, they lose some. They lose some badly. They win some well, and so it's like no one is separated. I feel like, Coyote was getting all those reps, and man, he had a rough practice yesterday. He got worked yesterday. And so I think there's sort of, to me, it's less, hey, we've got all these great options, and more, man, we need someone to raise their hand. Like we need someone to take this thing, man. Can I get one of you guys to take it? So I think that's sort of more of where I feel like it is. And ultimately, look, I don't think it's, and I do think Jake Slaughter has looked better. I absolutely 100% from where he was 2 weeks ago when I was watching to where he was yesterday. I'm like, yeah, that's looking a lot better. So that's a good thing. And by all accounts, all of the intangibles for Slaughter are, I think, a big reason why he got drafted. The compete, the intelligence, the leadership, the fact that, Florida was off the rails last year, and this is a guy that played every single snap and played hard every single, he's got all of that. He's got the makeup. It's just, can we get to the point where it's a position he's never played? You told us, when this thing happened and they mentioned that's what they wanted to do, that it's a lot tougher than you might think it is. And so can they catch up? And I think ultimately that's what they're pulling for, and I hope that's the way it goes.
When you're a center, it's centers, boom, you got to be able to get the ball up and still have one hand to be able to hold until you can get that other hand up. So center has its difficulties, but the reason why you look at guard and I'd say it's more challenging maybe than center is because there's a lot of times you're playing an over defense or an under defense. That means where the center's covered and the guard's covered, and so a backside guard usually he works to the center side. So you can have a double team, you can have some help at times. Sometimes the guard, it's more one-on-one. If the center is not covered, yes, he can help. But most of the times, the center is going to have either one shade or a guy head up on him. So he's going to, be occupied. So it's one of those guards are usually free. So, but the guard position itself has a lot more one-on-ones. So the
Yeah.
center is not able to help because he usually has it over him. So I hope this guy can round into it. And I think, Money, the reason why you're seeing so many combinations right now, it's because they do want to see who's going to step up. They don't want going into this game against the Texans, a guy saying, hey, I didn't have the reps. I didn't see it. So you want to say, hey, look, let's give all these guys 20, 30 reps a day and say, look, let's all these guys get in the mix so they'll see what it's like to play with the ones and maybe not, some of the guys, might not play on the offensive line. We don't want these guys injured, but you want to do that for continuity. You want to see if they get the feel. They want to see, hey, how the backs run. So this is a process that you do, especially when you're trying to look for that guy. You want every guy to have an equal opportunity to have some playing time.
Yeah, I mean, and look, the great thing is we got a month. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like it's, yeah, we got a game on Thursday, but we got a month and 3 preseason games and a joint practice with the 49ers and that defensive line where you're going to have an opportunity to really hash this thing out. Um, I know we've talked so much left guard. I don't want to, just continue to beat that drum. I'll just share quickly. Branson Taylor, we've talked about it. He looks so different. He really committed himself this offseason. He is, he was coming off an injury in his defense last year, but he was just, kind of that doughy, didn't look really athletic last year. This year, he's really firing off the ball. He's leaned out a lot. He's still a very large dude. I mean, you're talking he's still 6'6", 330-ish, so he's still a big guy. But he really leaned out, and the coaching staff talked about that, how impressed they were. And that's one thing I really like about, and I think the players love about this coaching staff. If you commit yourself, they're going to give you every opportunity. And they are going to, like you talked about earlier, right? You want to be positive, you want to be negative. They are very positive. If you commit yourself and they recognize you committed yourself, well, they're going to back you, man. They're going to give you the opportunity. They're going to give you those reps. And because you put in the work, they're going to let you prove to them that you can't do it. And they're going to assume you can until you prove you can't. So that's why I think a big reason why Branson Taylor, who was probably off the 53 for a lot of people, I think is now firmly in the 53, just because of his tackle guard flexibility. So just quickly, let's see. Yes, I got 74, allowed 2 sacks and 11 to now it was to Tier Tart and Khalil Mack, arguably their best interior linemen, and they're one of the greatest edges that's ever played the game. Let's see. We had here we go. Here's all your one-on-ones. So how about this? Thule had a nice win over Alt. You had, let's see, that was a Cole Strange win over Jamari Caldwell. Those are backups. This was, I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah, Kyle Kennard had a real nice bull rush that he got a win. He actually he's had a good week. Kennard, I think, was a guy that we thought was, again, like, and he's really stepped up the last week. I got 2 wins for 54 over 78, 54 over 44. They're playing Scott Matlock in a tight end blocking position, so he should win those reps. And he got a quick win over 78, who was 70. 78 is like probably very, very down on the offensive line list. I'm looking for him here. It's Valakahi, I think is how you pronounce his name. But so we got those wins. We got, how about Akeem Mesidor getting some wins over Joe Alt? Got 2 in the same day. That's something Jim Harbaugh talked about from the in his presser. He said, man, highlight of the week. He goes, highlight of the week. Joe Alt talking to K-Mac. Says, hey, share with Akeem, because they had just done a one-on-one, and Akeem was like off doing something else with the coach. He's like, hey, tell him, try to work a little inside spin. He's got me. He goes, he had me on that leverage. And if he had worked an inside spin, he would have had me. He's like, but he just kind of kept trying to push, and I was able just to kind of run him off. And so he's 2 days later in one-on-ones, He's like, Joe said, like, yeah, I kind of forgot about that conversation. And we set up in our one-on-ones, and bang, he hit me with the inside spin. And he's like, I looked at him and I was like, yeah. So that was a cool moment.
So Khalil goes and delivers the message.
Delivers the message from
And
Joe.
yeah, but that's growth. Last week we talked about Mesidor, talking about, hey, this guy's ready. He's going to be off the bus. He's a dog. He's got it. You said, I'm looking forward to watching him play. But he also told you, he said, look, I like to do what I do. But here's a guy that said, I like to do what I do, but he never said, I can't take positive criticism. He said, I just need to do my job. Now you have Khalil Mack. You have this chain of command. Watch that, and you're like, okay, wow. So he took what Matt gave him. So that's what I took out of that money, because last week you talked about it. This guy's tough. He knows what he needs to do. He doesn't necessarily need. And here he is. Goes to show you that he does need reminding. He does need. This is how you win in the league. But to be able to take that positive criticism, understand what Khalil Mack's trying to do, understanding what Joe Alt, your own teammate who wants to dominate and beat you every single time, here's what you need to do to win, and he took it. I love that.
Yeah, I think, and I could keep looking back. We had one-on-ones, corners, wide receivers as well. And let's see, what do we got? We got.
You just brushed over Tully and Joe Alt. How did Tully beat Alt? Was it a bull?
You know what? I just got all of these. I mean, there were 31 on one. So I just have I have a quick wins. I've got quick wins. Like Kennard, the quick win over 78. I got Mesidor, the quick win over Travis Burke. And then I've got, offensive line had some wins in there as well. You know what? Look at that. I got a little 77 over 90. So Travis Burke got a little, got one on Akeem Mesidor there. Nick, this was a good one. Nick Barrett, our fifth rounder that we like a lot out of South Carolina. Quick win over Penny. Penny's a big dude, man, and he just freaking bull rushed him, and he walked him back on skates. I mean, that's a 340-pound dude, and Barrett just pushed him right back into the quarterback. It was great. That was one of the better reps from the day. So yeah, some good ones in there. Yeah, here's another one from Kennard, a bull rush win over Branson Taylor. So that was a good one. So yeah, that's kind of your one-on-ones there. And then we had, here's a back-to-back. This was nice. Back-to-back for Arande. Had a box out for a first down on a one-on-one against Avery. I think was it Avery Smith? Where's my 36 at? Geron? No, that's offense. Versus Avery Smith. That's what I thought. Boxed him out, and then went up against Molden, the safety. Double move, big gainer. Really nice for Arande. Had Brennan Thompson had a nice double move, but he dropped the pass. That was a bummer. Let's see, what do we got? Same with Darius Davis. Was able to win, but dropped the deep ball. Oh, no, that was a deep ball catch. So Darius secured it to the ground. That was a really good catch. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, how about Charlie Kohler had a big one. He had a huge win over R.J. Mickens for a deep seam route. So there's your one-on-ones. Just looking back a little bit. I don't want to look back too much because we can look forward, Lo.
And guy always going to pop out on the screen. And you and I, we loved the guy last year. And he's going to do some big things this year because he doesn't have to. And because you brought in the right help. And you know that's Gaston. Around the guy. Yep. I like that. And you talk about how big he is. Well, he's a big man, but he can put some more size on. But he can run. He's a receiver.
With that, Lo, he was at the Saturday, I think he was in his presser at the lectern.
Yeah.
He said he left last year in the 230s. Because I said, you look bigger, dude. I was like, what do we? I go out. I don't know if it's impolite to ask you about your weight, but what are we clocking in at, man, when you step on the scale? And he said, yeah, no. He goes, you're right. He goes, I left in the high 230s. He goes, I'm in the low 250s right now.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. So he put on his weight. He said he knew he needed to get heavier to block. He's like, I could tell that I needed to get a little more weight on me to block.
And that's a great, when you see a guy leave in the year and come back 15 to 20 pounds heavier and put it the right way and still able to move, and he's a big man that can move as a tight end. He's too physical for safeties, and he's just too fast for linebackers to keep up with. So he's going to be a threat, especially what they have at the tight end personnel, going 13 personnel and trying to put linebackers or safety. Pick your poison. That's going to be a red zone nightmare with these three on the field.
You ain't kidding, man. And then you add in, Q with that big body, Trey Harris, who said he put on about 8 pounds of muscle. in the offseason when he was in his presser. So I do think you're going to get a little bit of that Debo action with Trey Harris because he looks just when you
Debo,
see him, especially his lower half. You know what Debo's lower half looks like, and it's not like Trey's that because he's a little
right?
bit taller than Debo. But you could see the thickness that he put on, and he mentioned he's like I wore down a little bit at the end of the year. He goes I felt a lot stronger, all the way through like week 12 or so, and I could start to feel it wearing on me. He's like, so that was my big goal this offseason. And he said he put on about 7-8 pounds. And, for a guy that's a wide receiver and, you need to be fast and stuff, it was quite a bit of weight to add on muscle wise.
Oh no, 8 pounds is a lot of weight, and
Yeah.
and especially if it's the right kind of weight, like you're saying, proportional. It's going to give you more strength, more stamina, and just the body blows that you take, money. That's what you're talking about. Guys wear
Yeah.
down. That's because the body blows they take over the season, and now you have more muscle, a little bit more weight. You're able to absorb a little bit more of those things. So it's a long season, 17-game season. So guys are wore out, guys are tired, and so with putting on a little more weight, a little more size, you're going to see this team. And I like what they're doing they don't have one guy. Sometimes you have a team that, okay, you have the one receiver, just one tight end. I think the Chargers did a great job saying, look, we're going to go collect a lot of talent at these positions. That if one guy is a little dinged up or we have to go another, we have a trouble. One, you don't fall, you don't slide down in talent and production if a tight end or someone goes down.
Yeah.
That's what I like. I think
Depth.
this team has done a great job of building depth.
Yeah. I think, you know what, quickly, courtesy of our friends at FanDuel, let's get a look because we keep giving you the Super Bowl and the division, and those things haven't changed. But our executive producer, Lindsay, pulled this one out, which we certainly appreciate. How about Coach of the Year? The
Ah,
Harbaughs. You got John Harbaugh as the favorite, which makes sense, when you're a team that's picking in the top 5, and then maybe you can work your way to 9, even maybe 10 wins. That's typically what wins you a Coach of the Year. Kellen Moore, a heck of a year last year in his first season with the Saints. A lot of people think they got a real shot at winning the NFC South. Joe Brady in his first year at plus 1,500. And then there he is, Jim Harbaugh, fourth in line, despite winning despite back-to-back 11-win seasons, sitting at plus 1,900. Perhaps, winning the incredibly competitive AFC West would be his ticket to winning Coach of the Year, and that is certainly something that's in the works because FanDuel has the Chargers as co-favorites to win the AFC West. So quickly, Low, before we bounce out of here, just looking at the Houston game. Speaking of FanDuel right now, what do we got? Texans minus 1.5 is what we're looking at there. If you are so inclined to play a preseason game, but just some of the things that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. Obviously, offensive line. Those guys. Those guards, those left guards are going to get reps, and I think the tackles are going to get reps. Obviously, I'm anxious to see what Travis Burke, the big man, 6'8", 350 pounds, looks like out there on the edge. Branson Taylor, they'll probably move him around from guard to tackle. So offensive line, Slaughter, especially at guard, right? How does that look? Otherwise, on offense, I think really, there's there. So here's what Harbaugh said. He said, 15 starters are going to dress and warm up, but not play. In the week 2, they're going to play a series. And in week 3, they're going to play 2 series. So that's what he shared with us. I would assume if I was to interpret what he meant by that, I think you've kind of got your core 8, Alt, Slater, Herbert, Derwin, K-Mac, Thule, Dayon, and I don't know who else might be in there, but I think that's kind of what he's taught. Tier, probably those guys aren't going to play at all, but you've got the rest, your offensive line, your cornerback competition, trying to figure out who your starting 2 are going to be, your safeties, where you're trying to find 2 for 3 or 3 guys for 2 spots. They're all going to play. Your wide receivers are all going to play. That's kind of that's what my interpretation was, is that all those starters will play. Warm up, but they won't play in this game.
You know what? Another starter that now could he play? Yes, but I'd be surprised because of the wear and tear that goes into this position and the hits. Because I think when you look at Amari Hampton, here's a big guy. We know the speed. You've seen what he can do. Do you want those body
Yeah,
blows from preseason? So he's a guy. I know he's young. I get it, but
yeah.
because of injuries and because of money and what you have as a running back, I don't know if this guy gets a lot of totes. I don't even know if he plays the first game in preseason.
Yeah, I think he would probably be included in those 15, right? Where he'll dress, but he won't play. and then the next week he'll play the one series, and the week after that he'll play. Yeah, I think he's probably in there. So what's interesting? What are we watching? There's two young corners, two undrafted corners that I think are worth watching. Avery Smith had a bit of a rough go yesterday, but he's been impressive throughout camp. He was, I want to say, yeah. So he was the guy that teamed up with Quinyon Mitchell at Toledo. He was on the other side of the field when they had that lockdown secondary. And Rodney Shelley. Those are your two undrafted free agent rookie corners that I think are worth watching. Shelley's popped a little bit in practice. Guys that are definitely making the team. Genesis Smith. Let's see him tackle, man. See, we know you can track the ball. We know you can intercept. He is the king of the tip drill, man. If that ball pops up in the air, he's like a cartoon zooming to it and snatching that thing up. But tackling was what the issue was at Arizona. I mean, in the draft, you had 50% of the people saying this guy's a first rounder. It's crazy that he's falling. And you had the other people saying, I don't know if he can tackle, man. I don't know if he's draftable. Can you play him? And, that's how wide the opinions were on Genesis. So I'm anxious to see him.
Wow. So I'm very interested. Maybe there's a position that you haven't talked about you want to see. You've talked to me about it earlier and just said, hey, this position could be open. I know people like say, it's solidified, but it's not. Let's go into the quarterback position, the second, and I think that's going to be an interesting matchup. Correct?
Yeah, coach said it'll be a half and half, so Trey will probably get the first half, DJ will get the second half. Maybe I just have a blind spot for DJ because I have watched him grow up and play at Bosco. And like I said, best high school football player I ever watched, great family. So it's possible that I just kind of have a blind spot there, and it's really not a competition, and it's Trey's job. And look, what I want to see then is just show us then. Just get out there and light it up, man. If you're a guy that was a top 3 pick in the draft and, a championship quarterback at North Dakota State, let's get out there and let's crush it. Play 3 series and score 3 touchdowns. And then the coaches are like, hey, man, we're good. That's what I'd love to see, and last year, his preseason numbers were good. Last year, he completed 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, rushed for 81 yards and a touchdown. Like, let's see that again, and then just because coach is like, I'm not here to talk about a backup quarterback competition. What are we doing? And I'm like, sorry, dude. I'm just kind of wondering, both guys have looked good and both guys have had issues out there. I just, that's all I'm asking. He gave me a smile and he's like, 50-50. All right, man. How's that? I was like, fine. That's just a guy asking questions, man. That's all. So yeah, quarterback. Exactly. That's all, man. And he was fine. He was laughing about it. But, he's like, really? You're asking me about a backup? We're trying to win a Super Bowl here. All right. It's what's the famous Tom Moore line? Why don't my backup quarterbacks get any reps in practice? Because if Peyton Manning goes down, we're blanked.
Right.
And we don't practice blanked. So defensively, yeah, I talked about the corners, obviously linebacker. Marlowe Wax versus Junior Colson. That's going to be a huge one. And the edge, Nadeem Tucker versus Kyle Kennard. Nadeem's had some really good wins out there, man. Our undrafted free agent out of Western Michigan that was under Chris O'Leary, our new, CO, the new DC, led the nation in tackles for loss and sacks at Western Michigan. You can see it, man. Dude's strong. He's nasty. He gets so low and he gets leverage quick. So I'm anxious to see he and Kyle Kennard out there. I think a lot of that stuff is more defense. I think is kind of what we're looking at. I feel like everything else is, pretty much settled. We know it's going to be the 3 backs and the fullback ain't gold. We know it's going to be the 3 tight ends. Offensive line, like I said, left guard's really the one question. And then really it just comes down to defense. And let's see how, some of this depth at the edge position with Kennard and Tucker to go along with the front 4 there, the depth at linebacker 5 and 6, and the depth at corner and safety. I think it's probably what we're looking at, man. So we're excited, Lo.
So am I, man. I can't wait tomorrow night. I know, hey, when you say travels, you and the team, it's going to be interesting. Eat a couple of those Slim Jims for us.
Yeah.
Those work out. I love the shirt. I love the black.
Buy it.
Absolutely. Buy that shirt, people.
Look at that.
Go get that.
I got Low running into the hole right here. Pop. That's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm talking about.
Do it. Let's bolt up. Let's go.
Yep, I got to zip out of here. Go catch a plane to get to Houston, everybody. Looking forward to it. Appreciate all of you. Lo, we'll talk next week, and we'll have a game to recap. Looking forward to it.
Bolt up. Let's go.
Bolt up.